How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Factorio. For a second, I was gonna say Satisfactory, but it has been a minute since Satisfactory. That series is, I don't know where it's at. It's like Schrodinger's cat. It's both alive and dead. It's not ended per se, but we definitely haven't played it in a while. Maybe we'll finish that up after Factorio and things. Anyway, so a couple things to go over. One of them being we did go ahead and finish up those researches we had queued up. So we do have epic, or not epic, excuse me, legendary. We have legendary quality now. It's possible we may start seeing that show up in here in very, very small quantities. Yeah, it actually does look like we've already begun getting some legendary items. Not a whole significant amount, but we do have some, which is good because we are going to need those. So we will begin working with those items. Yeah, wow. Those look like we have a few. But in order for us to continue that, we need foundations. And we've been busy here on Aquilo. So I've mainly spent most of today trying to get all the resources together for all the rocket silos and just get everything here. And we've just been slowly chipping away at that. Now, one thing to note, part of our progress has been halted due to the snowstorms that have been going on in and around the country. Hope everybody stayed safe and has stayed warm. But definitely, I know a lot of people have been affected by it. Thankfully, we haven't been too harshly affected, I would say. It is definitely cold. I can tell you it is a little frigid here for us. I need concrete, but we don't have any concrete. Do we have any here? No, but we don't need that. I don't actually think we need... No, we don't. Okay, so... let me send this guy... We don't need that. Oh, actually we do. Let's go ahead and just request 50,000 from Lagora. So let's do that. And then we'll drop off these electric engine units because we don't need those. Here. We have plenty. Oh, we have plenty of concrete. I am blind as a bat. Okay, so we don't actually need concrete there. But we can use it on some of the other planets. So that puts all our silos down. Oh, we need some ice. But anyway, so that's kind of been one of the things I've been working on, is just trying to get Aquilo fully functioning, and then just running around to try to get some of the other stuff there as well. There we go. And we have one extra rocket silo, which we can put probably up here or something. I don't actually know where we're going to stick it. We just, I think, made one too many. Sure, let's put it there. And then that way we have just extra stuff. We don't need all of this concrete on us. Nor do we need the pipe, but it's there. And then we need underground, which I don't actually think we have too much here. No, but we have a lot of other stuff that we just need to get rid of. So that's going to be fun. And then, so let's go ahead and alter this. So we don't actually need that. What we need is... Which do we need? Oh, it's not going to say it. Okay. Let's just go ahead and grab 5,000 heat pipe. Are we making it here? No. So it's got to be on Canis that we're making it. So let's send the rocket there. And then let's try to find whatever we can that we need. Because I know we have a ton of stuff here. Undergrounds. More undergrounds, more of those, more of those. Tons of splitters. That can actually go somewhere else. That can go somewhere else. That will be needed. We're probably going to need a ton of those. Definitely going to need the heat pipe. That's all the heat pipe we have left. Okay, and then we are going to just let the robots go ahead and do their duty. Do your duty to our school. That's still, I think, one of my favorite scenes ever from Harry Potter. Say what you will about it, but honestly, I think it was such a good scene where McGonagall was like, "I've always wanted to use that spell." Definitely one of my favorite scenes from Harry Potter. I actually don't know if I've ever sat down and watched all the movies. I know I read some of the books in high school and middle school. But honestly, I can't remember if I ever actually read both all the books or have seen all the movies. I think it's been kind of a mismatch of patch working of like read a book, watch a movie, read a book, watch those movies, and then just kind of somewhere in between. Oh, we have plenty of heat pipe, 30,000. That should be sufficient. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pick up 5,000 heat pipe there. And then our robots here are just going to drain us of all the energy we have. Oh, it does look like we need just a little bit. A little bit more. Oh, come on. Stop draining my resources, please. And then we need... we need just a little bit of this, because I think we just barely went. Yep. We just barely went outside of that. Okay. And then we have no more heat pipe. Okay. And then in case anybody's wondering how this design works, while I wait for the robots to recharge so they can do another round of replacing stuff, is essentially because Aquilo robots have a very, very, very high consumption of energy. It means they have to recharge very, very, very frequently. Even having the legendary ones and stuff here. So that kind of puts us in a weird position where we have to belt everything. It's honestly the one planet where you have to do a belt base. You can do robots, but honestly, I don't know how you can make them viable without doing like really small networks or just really honestly, I just don't think they're viable here. So because of that, one of the things that I have noticed is belts. Besides the fact that you have to have a million heat pipe and things, and you have to do weird creative things like this, you can get it to work. So basically we have our 3 inputs for rockets, right? 3 inputs. And then I've dedicated heating towers. I actually haven't put the fuel line in yet, but there is supposed to be a solid fuel line that directly feeds these, so it makes sure that all the rockets have fuel, or make sure that all the heating pipes, at least near the rockets, are out, so that the rockets can keep launching. Then the next part, right, is it goes through the middle, injects each of those items, and then we have speed all the way around, and then we have, typically, actually, it's supposed to be productivities inside, so you min-max your rockets there. And then what we do on the outside is, because we can't use automatic requests from the platform, right, so we can't use robots, what we do is we dedicate a rocket silo to a particular resource. You could, if you are smarter than I, which I'm sure many of you are, at least somebody out there is, at least I hope they are smarter than me, can use the constant combinators, decider combinators, arithmetic, all those fun things, to set up a conditional statement where you can read the orbital request, and then you can toggle a chest or an inserter from a chest to output onto a belt a specific quantity of the item based on the orbital request, and then from there make sure that it's a minimum amount needed for the rocket capacity, which, again, I'm sure somebody could set it up. I couldn't. Also, I just didn't want to because it started confusing the hell out of me, and also it was like 2 a.m. when I was trying to do it, which wasn't helping. But basically, you have one rocket silo reading the orbital request, and then you have another one, or actually each of them, where you read their contents, and then you make sure that the item that you're putting into it is sufficient, and so that you don't, like if you have a long belt like this with tons of rocket silos, you have an input, you make sure it fills up this rocket silo with enough to launch, but then you stop trying to fill it so that this inserter has an empty hand. And then from there you go this way on the belt, and then you go to the next one, but you only do that if you need a second rocket amount. Again, I'm sure somebody can figure it out. I was not that person by any stretch of the imagination, but you know, here we are and things. Okay. Let's see, where's our ship at? Okay, we have the stuff we need. We are filling up on calcite, which is always good to see. Let's bring that back here to Aquilo, and then we shall go from there. Oh, so one of the other things is, so now that we have foundations, right? Here on Flagora, Flagora is gonna need big overhaul for quality area, like tenfold overhaul, because we are going to be going pretty crazy, I think, in terms of our scrapping and just the everythinging that's going to be going on here. Because like right now what we have, pretty crazy-ish, I guess. And if you look at how much stuff we have in terms of... Oh, was it not going to let me? No, it's... Oh, there it goes. Okay, I was just pressing the wrong button. Like, for instance, we have 324,000 copper wire. We don't need 324,000 copper wire. But that is the problem with this design, is because it is technically everything above rare, and you should upgrade it so that it eventually only goes to legendary. The design I ended up doing, at least because of casinos here, which require the in-between, eventually once you have purely just legendary, right, you only stockpile the bare minimum of the item, right, the regular tier, and then you eject legendary out of the system. Certain items like ice, there's no point to have any other tier, so everything else just gets scrapped. Other items like stone follow that rule. Holmium follows that rule, only because this eventually gets turned into a liquid, and liquids do not have a rarity. They automatically account to whatever. Iron ore is kind of another one where it's like you could just keep it at the base minimum, or you could do other things with it. The design I have set up for it accounts for all of these items, specifically making it so that the items that aren't necessarily processed out of the ore, such that I believe it's plastic, copper, and iron, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if we could see that if we hover over one of these. Yeah, we can. So we don't get copper, iron, or plastic directly from it, but when you re-scrap things such as the copper wire, you get copper plate. You scrap LDS, you get a little bit of plastic back. And then, of course, you get iron when you scrap gears. So those are some of the resources that you're going to get that you don't normally get out of the ore directly, right? So one of the things that we're going to need all those foundations for, right, is we're going to be expanding our scrapping setup here west, because we basically have this, and we have a nice little input here. So what I'm thinking is... We don't necessarily need to use this as an input, but what I'm thinking is we basically start putting up here on the top left, we fill it in, and we just go right, and then tons of stuff, tons of robots. And then because now that we have fusion reactors unlocked, although we have to build them, we're probably going to put some fusion reactors over here to the far right. I know power is basically unlimited here, but we are going to need significant power for the amount of recycling we're going to be doing. The number of rockets we have is fine, so nothing there I think is going to change, but we are going to essentially make this a very large quality hub, so to speak. And because we'll have foundations, we'll be able to tap every island. We won't just be limited to, oh, we can only tap this island, because we can fit things on it. We don't have to do weird things like this where we have to like squish our stuff and do like weirdly not balanced, not good things. But holy moly, we are getting actually decent things here in terms of quality. I actually feel like in our multiplayer world, we don't even get legendary scrap that often, but wow. That is crazy. But yeah, no, most certainly one of the things, right, is making sure we have all our quality modules upgraded just about everywhere we can. And just making sure things are quality that can be quality, and just making sure we have all the resources we can, right? And so then the other side of things is attaching this section of our base, which already is kind of. This section is isolated, right? If anybody remembers when we redid this section of the map, it was isolated from here to here, and then from here to the rest of the like scrap was essentially isolated. I also realized that our sound in game was or is turned down. Let me turn this up. Okay, well, not that Factorio has a ton of sounds, but there are some, a little more sound than just me necessarily kind of going over our plans there. So this is back here, which is good. And then, so Flagora is going to be our next major focus, because in order for us to complete the game, not that we need quality, because again, quality is completely optional. If you really want, you can completely ignore it as a system. However, I find that it is a necessary component of the game that I truly don't want to ignore it, because I do think it is a significant time saver in some aspects, right? It of course is going to be time saving in that we don't necessarily have to have as large of a ship, nor do we have to have as much stuff, but we do still have to have capacity for it. And quality is one of those things that the sooner you start it, the better you'll be down the road. So we're a bit hamstrung here, because we need Aquilo to get done so that we are at least producing the foundations that we need in quantities that we'll need on Flagora, because if we plan to essentially have a large buildable area like we would like on Novice or any other planet, we are going to need significant foundations, at least to fill in a good chunk of this section here, up here, and probably even down into this region. We're going to need a good amount. Plus, we're going to want to mine all of this scrap, even though sure it is inconsequential compared to like 42 million. The amount of scrap we just hovered was maybe a million, maybe two, like 42 million. Right, so that is one thing we need to technically consider. I guess we could just build over it. It's a case of, again, in inconsequential amounts, but regardless. All right, we need Flagora to be where it is, but probably about tenfold, especially for getting legendary quality in the amounts that we're going to need for certain items. And then, of course, here on Aquilo, we need this place to be working so we can get the foundations that we need, as well as the science, which the science is less important now at this point. Pretty much all we have left is repeatables. There are some other ones. Again, these are the Gleba ones that we just never did that we're going to be going back and doing. So I think what we're going to do, my plan for the week, depending on timing and things, is finish getting Aquilo done, like get Aquilo where it should be in my mind, and then I think we're gonna go do Aquilo. Once Aquilo is automatically doing its thing and we're stockpiling foundations, while it's doing that stockpiling, I think we're gonna take a week or two and go finish off Gleba entirely. So that's gonna be fully reinforcing it, which we've already done pretty comprehensive reinforcements here along the south, but fully doing that on the west and the northern side, and then start expanding rocket silos, because we are going to need a considerable amount. And we also are going to want to expand, where is it? We are going to want it to expand plastic production here, because this is just ludicrous. The amount of plastic that you get per one machine, 4.5 per second, is insane when you compare that to the traditional cost and time, because if we throw speed modules in this, we can get like 50 a second. Like, it's insane what we can get out of it. The other thing is we need carbon fiber in mass. Like, honestly, I'm probably just going to extend this because of how much carbon fiber I know we're going to need, that it just makes sense to have ready for when that time comes, because it's just such an important material. We're probably actually going to expand both of those items, as well as some other items on Gleba. And this design does need to be redone a little bit. For instance, there's no point in, like, this is a waste. Just have it go straight. Like, there's little things like that that we can tweak, that initially, like, it looked it looked good, it looked pretty, but it's not efficient. We're wasting however long it takes for an item to go from here to up here in terms of time. Same thing for this item to up here, which then just makes everything else have less time in terms of its spoilage. So little things like that that we're going to probably take a look at. So I think Gleba is probably going to be the next planet that we really focus on some things. Like I said, probably going to hopefully try to finish up Quillo this week to get everything put down. Like, a lot of this empty space up here is just requiring us to throw concrete down, or the ice, like this is the case down here. Yeah, like putting ice down so we can build, and then finishing the rocket silos and just stuff like that. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you guys did, you guys want to do, smash the like button if you haven't done so already. And with that, I'll see you guys all next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one. Peace out.